Welcome to the Devon Show, people. How you doing? You doing good? Hope all is well with you, people. Continue working hard, continue striving for greatness, and continue being happy, guys. I want to apologize for not being here the past 2 weeks. I've been going through issues of my own, and I've been having to take care of those issues. And so I apologize for that. Appreciate you for having patience with me, sticking it out over the last 2 weeks with no episodes dropping. Doing my best to not have to let that happen again while we're still in the middle of season two. So thank you guys for staying patient with me again. We appreciate all the love and support. Still got some work coming out for you. Um, and I have it shown next week for next week's episode. And I have a lot of work that I still been working on, even though I'm going through a lot. So we appreciate you guys tuning in with me. As we have here with me today, a very special guest. Everybody, please welcome Mr. Dontell Jefferson. Woo! Clap it up. So first of all, we appreciate you, Coach Jefferson, for bringing on being on the show with me. How's life treating you, man? I know we got a lot going on with you. How's COVID life treating you? How's school life treating you? How's life in general treating you, man?
Oh man, I could just say I'm blessed, man. To still, so much going on, and to still be here and continue to pour into other people's lives and be here for my family and things like that. I think it's a huge blessing, and I don't take any moment of it for granted, man.
I'm going to go off track, but I also want you to start by giving the listeners just an overview of who you are. Talk about where you're from, what you're doing right now, and just some things you've been able to accomplish to help you get where you are today, man.
Okay, yeah. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. A lot of people don't know that because I've been in Arkansas, for so long. I played junior college basketball. I played Division I basketball at the University of Arkansas. I authored a book. I made it to the NBA. I played overseas, and then now I'm currently a dean of students at East End High School in Little Rock.
I start going from childhood to where you are right now, but I want to start, where you're at right now, which is how we know each other from East Stem. I'm a student there my last year, my senior year. I've been there since kindergarten, and I've gotten to kind of get to know you. Talk about how you got involved with East Stem. How did that process get for you to get to East Stem, and also has it been everything that you hoped it to be?
Yeah, man. So Coach Sullivan was a former teammate of mine at Arkansas. And then, about a year and a half ago, he kind of reached out to me asking me would I be interested in moving out back to Little Rock and becoming an assistant dean. And it fell in line with what I was already doing. Like I'm also a public speaker, so I was going around at different schools and different colleges, speaking to students. And so I think like this opportunity, it allowed me to be more direct with students right there in the building, being able to build rapport with students like that, and then impact them day in and day out. I took the interview, and I guess I did pretty good. And now that I'm here, last year was a little bit of difference just because all the students weren't in the building. But so far it's been a blessing, man, and I enjoy it. Long as the kids aren't doing too much anything crazy, it's fairly easy. And then you just kind of guide and give life. I try to give life advice as much as I can for those that want to come talk to me and things like that. So it's perfect for me.
I want to talk about later on how important speaking for your role is, but talk about right now. How different is it for you to kind of be where you are? Like, how different was it when you were in high school, and how is it so different from you now being in a high school, but not being a student, but being an administrator? What's the difference?
Man, I think, man, just overall, just being an adult, you get this, put yourself back into the shoes of a 15, 60-year-old high school student. And in my case, I was also a student athlete. So you can always relate to those that are kind of going through that journey of young adulthood and get ready to go out to college and things like that. So that's what I try to lay my hat on. I try to think outside of me being older and with experience, and try to bring myself down to being 15 and 16-year-olds and what was I thinking. I think the biggest difference between when I was in school and now is the technology part. Like it's a huge thing, and it can kind of get It can be good and be bad in situations. So to me, I feel that, phones, iPads and things like that, it's almost a gift and a curse. So obviously we're able to do a podcast via Zoom, which is a great plus. But then, you have certain instances where people use, Instagram and social media to, tease and pick on and bully other kids. So, it has its challenges, and you just try to adapt as best as you can, and understand that times are often changing, and you got to be able to adapt to those changes, and go about it the best way you can.
Absolutely, I agree with that 100%. Going back to your story, man, Atlanta, Georgia, man. Growing up there, what was the culture like, man? And also, how did you originally get involved in basketball? Was that something that you got in at an early age, or something like a late bloomer? And was basketball your first love, or is this maybe a second love, and you just kind of grew into something that you thought you were really good at?
Man, so to start off, as a kid, man, I got to Atlanta when I was 9 or 10. Like, I was born in a real small town in South Georgia, man. Cordele, Georgia. It's the watermelon capital of the world. It's been that way for as long as I can remember. And so my mom just, she had this dream of wanting to, better our lives, and she felt like moving to Atlanta was kind of, the best thing for us. So I hated it at first, man. I didn't have any friends. All my family was back home, and at that time I was playing football. Football was all I knew. Like, I would play basketball in my yard because I had a goal my grandfather put up for me. But once I moved to Atlanta, I didn't play anymore. Well, I didn't play, any rec leagues anymore. My mom put me in basketball, and that's when I started playing basketball organized. And that was 4th grade, and I played again in 5th grade, and then I just kept playing. And so, 3 years went by. I hadn't played football, but basketball was growing on me.
Yeah.
Got to middle school, and I played football and basketball. And then I think one day, going like on my way to high school, it was that summer. It was like, I want to play basketball in college, and so that's where basketball kind of took over for the rest of me. But my first love, still to this day, is football. Like, I don't know what it is about it. Like, I can only watch college. Like, I don't watch much NFL, but football was my first love, man. So once I get it to high school, high school was fun for me, man. I didn't do anything but play basketball, but I enjoyed the group of friends I had. We all played hard together. We loved our coach. Well, most of us. And then we had a sense of pride at the school. So my high school was, I don't take that for granted either. It was some of the best times I had.
Talk about, was there any players, whether it be basketball or football, that you kind of idolize, that you maybe is a football player watch to kind of get your game better, or is a basketball player to watch film to get your game better?
So, 2 examples, right? So when I was younger, I used to watch Gary Payton a lot.
Yeah, the glove.
Yeah, I used to watch Gary Payton a lot. And then as I became professional, I watched Darren Williams a lot. Darren Williams and Gilbert Arenas. Like, those were the only 2 guards that I would really watch and try to study. And a little bit of Chauncey Billups, because he was bigger. He would post guards up. And so by me being a 6'5" point guard, I wanted to play D like Gary Payton, which I was known for playing defense at University of Arkansas and in high school and things like that. And I want to shoot like Gilbert Arenas, and I want to, be able to use the pick and roll like Darren Williams.
I feel
like, so those are, like, as I got older in my career, like, that's who I tried to pattern my game at. Football wise, I don't really watch too many people. I was a 49er fan, so Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, like, all, like, way back then when I was a big fan.
You talked about kind of being a part of big thing, being part of you is your family. Talk about what role your family has played, not only today, but growing up as well. And do you think you would be where you are today without your family?
No, not at all, man. I grew up with my grandmother and my mother, my grandfather. My pops he wasn't really there. He
Mhm.
kind of just paid child support, and that was really it. So my mannerisms, my spirit, um, respecting everybody, respecting elders, saying thank you, yes, ma'am, no, sir. Like all that stems from my grandma, and then my mother. Man, she supported everything I did for the most part. The only thing that I didn't get that I wanted was her to be in more games. But other than that, like my mom, she put me in the best situation possible as she could to allow me to fulfill my dreams. And with that, like I knew there was a lot of work that I had to do because she couldn't afford to take out no loan for me to get to school. So for me, playing basketball afforded me to go to college for free. And that's kind of how I looked at it. I just wanted to get a degree. NBA was never a,
Yeah.
thought. It was more about, can this basketball pay for my school? Of course, I had the dreams of making it, but it wasn't at the front of my mind. Um, so, and then I tell people all the time when I finished my last year at Arkansas, I was doing my fifth year before I actually entered the G League. Like I wanted to go overseas, and I was still in school, man. So it was more about getting a piece of paper than it was for anything else.
A 6'5" point guard. I think that's a rare thing that we see in basketball. Was your height? I got a chance to talk to Brock Bertram, who's a center in Buffalo, and he's 7'1". Was your height genetically informed from your parents? Were your parents inherently tall, or was that just something that you just naturally tall? Nobody else in your family really tall.
Man, it's weird, right? So like like I don't know if you've heard, you're a little younger than I, but when you from the South, this old folks always have these different sayings. And so I used to hear like if you stay up late, you stunt your growth, right?
Mhm.
So I used to go to bed early, and then my grandmother made sure I went to bed early. Like she wouldn't really let me stay up too late growing up. Like I have some fairly tall uncles, and when I say tall, some of them may be 6'2", 6'3" ish, something like that.
Mhm.
I have a cousin that's 6'3" who played football at Auburn. But for the most part, my mom is like 5'5", something like that. My dad maybe 6'1". So I have no idea, man. I just was blessed that I was able to get to the height I am, and I was able to use it to my advantage.
Absolutely. Growing up, man, what were other things outside of sports that gain your attention a lot? What were some things that you always relied on to keep your attention outside of sports?
Man, I really didn't do too much of anything
Yeah,
outside of sports, man. Like, besides going to the movies,
yeah,
with my
basically.
friend. Yeah, basic things like that. Like I started playing pool uh in junior college because I had a teammate that used to play all the time. So we would go into the activity center when we were waiting for practice or something like that. We just got our food. Like I would just play pool with him. And so I took in a liking to that, it was just something to do, have fun. But other than that, I was real chill. I listen to music, play pool, talk on the phone. Then texting came out, then I started texting. And that was pretty much it, man. I was real. I wasn't as social,
Yeah,
I guess you could say, and I'm still that way now, man.
yeah.
I like to go eat now. I still like going to the movies. I like watching movies, at the crib. So it's pretty much the same for me. Like, and I mean, I did go out and things like that as I got older, but that was never I was never really a quote unquote life of the party, so
I
to speak.
got you.
Yeah.
When you're getting to your high school point, when did you start realizing that, hey, I could actually go D1 at this basketball thing? When did you realize you could actually make it to the next level of basketball?
So my journey is a little interesting, man. So when I in high school, I only had one Division I offer, and it was to a HBCU called Morris Brown in Atlanta. And my thought was, like, I had grew up and I had always seen, you got the fans and the cheerleaders that they show on TV at these big schools, and they have everybody cheering for them. And that's what I seen myself doing. And so when when Morris Brown came to the house, my mind was like, man, like, y'all, Morris Brown, like, I don't want to go there. In my school was predominantly Black.
Yeah.
I was like, man, like, this gonna be just like high school all over again. Like, I don't want to do that. And at the time, I didn't make the qualifying score for my ACT as well. I had the highest GPA I needed, but I couldn't make the lowest score to be able to be eligible to play Division I basketball as a freshman. Like, I had to sit out, and like, I didn't want to do that. And so my thought process was, if I can get Morris Brown, if I go to junior college, I probably can get somebody else. And I ended up speaking to one of my stepfather friends who went junior college, and then he went to a Division I program. And I think that's what kind of made my decision. And so I guess by them giving me that offer, and it came very late, like it came like in April, like the middle of April. It's like, well, if y'all offer me, it got to be some other schools out there that I possibly pay for. And I just kind of took it and, ran with it. And I got blessed, man. Like, I truly got blessed in a great situation. I had a teammate he was really good, man. Like, we had NBA scouts that I practiced all the time. We had Division I coaches that I practiced all the time just to see him. So I think that allowed me to, playing with him allowed me to, be able to showcase my talent, and being, 6'5" point guard, I was able to do a lot of things. And I think that's what kind of helped my name get out there.
What advice would you give? Because I think in today's society, we see so much of, the one and done, or now the G League and going overseas and then going to the league. What advice would you give for the kids that want to reach the next level, but may have to go an untraditional route, JUCO or a different way like you did? What advice would you give to help them get, be motivated to get to the next point?
Right. And that was one of the reasons why I wrote my book, man, for guys or young ladies like myself that, you have to go a different route. And, for one, first thing is that it's okay, right? Like, you got friends that may go Division I, you got friends that may go off into the workforce and, get a decent job out of high school. So it's okay that you don't get a Division I. I think we got to kind of get back to the thought of, I'm a huge advocate of going to college. Do you need college to be successful? No. But what I think college helps and teaches you is how to deal with different people from all different walks of life, and the relationship that you can potentially build there. So for one, that part. Two is being patient. Everything, like, I think we're in this society of instant gratification now. People want to be verified on Instagram. They want it right now. And life don't work. Like, life doesn't work that way. So I think, two is being patient, and then just run your own race.
Yeah.
Run your own race. Only you can determine how fast or how slow you want to go. And it's okay to not have to try to keep up with anybody else. Well, now what you can do is you can use the person that you're looking to that's ahead of you as motivation.
Yeah.
I think you could do that. But when it gets to the point where you're trying to compare yourself to them and things like that, I think that's where we go wrong at. So, run your own race, have people in your corner that's willing to tell you when you're wrong, and not just, tell you that everything is okay, being able to hold you accountable. And that's it, man. Have a good support system, and your support system don't have to be family.
Yeah.
Support system can be friends, parents, anybody. It doesn't have to be, family members. It could be a teacher, counselor, whomever, that wants to see you succeed. Like, that is your support system.
Talk about your book. I think this is the perfect time for you to kind of mention and promote it. This episode is about you, so talk about it as much as you want, and promote it as much as you want as well.
Yeah, so I published the book in 2018, right after I retired, and the idea came from I had a best friend, or I think you had him on the show, Ronnie Brewer.
Okay.
Yeah, he was doing camps, right? And I wanted to do my camp, and what I just spoke about. I was always comparing how I wanted my camp to go, and I was like, what if it's not like his? And I never did. I never did the camp, and so I remember being cut from Sioux Falls in the D League. What was this 2011, something like that, 2012. Right at the end of 2011, early 2012, and I had this idea to write a book, and I wanted to share my story with guys that are like me, not highly recruited. And then that's when the One and Done was really popular. So I wanted to kind of change that narrative. And so, I kind of just wrote the book based on my experiences and try to give life lessons within it, how to deal with agents, the non-spoken intangibles about being respectful to everybody you come in contact with. And that was pretty much it, man. Just trying to motivate each and everybody that read that book that, their life matters, and the fact that they can achieve whatever dreams they have and aspirations, no matter what industry that is. But understanding there's going to be some sacrifice in that somewhere. Yep. I have it on Amazon. It's you just type in my name, Dontell Jefferson, or you can get it on my website at DontellJefferson.com.
And I'll leave the link to the book from various resources in the bio when I drop the episode, so you guys can have a quick access to that. Talk about your process to get into Fayetteville, man. You talk about your untraditional routine of going to JUCO, but talk about how Fayetteville got on your radar, and was it something that you jumped on? Was it an opportunity you jumped on really quickly, or were you hesitant about it?
Man, so what's interesting, and I think I asked my assistant coach this, or the guy who recruited me, like years later, on how he, what made him come to my junior college. And he was saying that I wasn't initially his. I think he got the job in the summer of 03, maybe. I'm gonna say the summer of 03. And there was another assistant coach who had me down, right? And then they gave it to him. And I remember when he came, to the practice and we spoke. And then another time, him and Coach Heath, who was the head coach at the time, they both came to practice. And, they talked about setting up a visit and things like that. And I took the visit during Christmas. And when I got to Fayetteville, I went to that game, and man, it was unbelievable, right?
Like wall.
It's totally different. Like I used to watch the Razorbacks as a kid, just from watching, hearing about Nolan Richardson and things like that. But being in the gym and seeing and hearing the fans and how loud it was, like it was unbelievable, man. And I remember like hearing the hog call, and I was asking the guy I met at the time, Vincent Hunter, who was actually my best friend as well. I was like, man, what are they doing? And, he was explaining it to me and things like that. And it was just an unbelievable experience. And the next day, man, I was at Coach Heath's house, and he offered me again, and I told him, I was like, this is where I want to be. Like, I want to commit, and I committed right then on the weekend. I didn't take any more. Like, I didn't take any other visits. Like, it just felt right to me.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't talk to my mom. I didn't talk to my coach. Like, I just made the decision. So it was good, man. And like I said, man, I really have to contribute a lot of that to, my teammates that I had in junior college. With those coaches being in and out of there all the time, like I think that's what did it. Because I don't think I did anything. I guess, outstanding or, you know what I mean, anything like that. I think I just did it with my play and being seen, you know, by him being there, being who he was.
Talk about what was it like to play under Coach Stan Heath, and also talk about what were the biggest differences you saw in, you know, high school and JUCO ball, and then when you got to the D1 level, what were the biggest differences in the game that you saw?
So the biggest difference between like high school, JUCO, and D1 is everybody, you know, JUCO, everybody's super hungry.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to get somewhere. So there, you really have to be prepared for that type of mentality. Because, you know, guys are, you know, they fighting and scrapping for their lives. So the game speeds up a little bit. And then, you know, obviously once you get to a Division I program or you play Division I, guys become a lot more skilled. They're a lot stronger and bigger and things like that. And so I think like that is what will be the biggest difference. And for me, I almost didn't make it, actually. You know, like I needed to graduate from junior college to come to Arkansas, and I was behind like 18 credits, not knowing that I need to graduate by me not passing my my ACT score. So I missed the whole nine weeks of lifting. So I think, you know, had I been in school during the summer, like that strength and conditioning part would have definitely helped my game, you know, for the following year. And like I remember getting here asking Jonathan Monica, I was like, man, like do I play weak? He was like, man, it's like you may not be able to lift like, you know what I mean, some of the things that I can lift. And Jonathan Monica was like, he's super strong back then. But he was like, you don't play like that. It's like you don't play weak. So he was like, don't think that. And like that was the biggest thing, man. You know, I didn't have the strength or the base and the foundation for the SEC my first year. And I think just as I kept lifting weights, it changed a little bit. And then, you know, as I got older and I started getting stronger and things like that, I've seen a totally difference in my game. I was able to withstand hits and finish a lot better and things like that. So, yeah, you know, it's huge difference at each level. But, you know, guys just get bigger, stronger, more experienced, make better decisions at each level.
I'm going to come back to that response because it was detailed and I like that. But I also had a question. I always say once a hog, always a hog. Once you become a hog, you know, you're a Razorback in Doles forever. Talk about, you know, what it's been like to kind of see the program, the basketball program, kind of be back to where it should be. I know we had a lot of difficult times. You know, after Stan Heath left with John Pelfrey, you know, wasn't really where it's at. And Mike Anderson came in, he kind of brought the program back, and now Musselman is bringing it to the tier level that it should be. How fun is it to kind of see your alma mater kind of be where it's at?
You know, it's always fun, man, because there was a spell there that I was losing a lot of money. Losing a lot of money, man. And so like in professional ranks, depending on who's your teammates, like there's a unwritten rule that if, you know, me and you are teammates and you went to Duke and Arkansas played, like we have a bet.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, for a while, like I was losing a lot of bread, man. I didn't like that part. But yeah, to get back to your answer, man, it's good, man. Like it's real good to, you know, see, you know, how things have changed, and the development that the guys have had, you know, over the past year, and being able to, you know, to leave on a winning note. You know, we've been on the losing side for a long time, and you know, it feels good to, you know, walk in there with your Arkansas Razorback shirt on and leave out, you know, knowing that you just won. Like last weekend with the football game.
Yep.
You know, I seen a guy at the gym Saturday morning. He had all this LSU stuff on. I'm like, man, like you need to take that off. Like you in Arkansas, man. Like you can't be wearing that, right? And he swore up and down we was gonna lose on Saturday. So I'm interested in getting back to him and saying something to him. But you know, it's always a great experience, man, to see, you know, program go through what they went through, and then we're coming out of it and still be able to build and grow. And I think as long as we continue to do that, and you have high character guys that come from the program and can still leave a foundation for those that come behind them, like that's all you can ask for, man.
Back to your response earlier, talk about how important, whether it's high school or college, how important, taking care of your body is and making sure you're staying maintained with your body, but also make sure you're handling your books in class and make sure your grades are staying up. How important are both of those things as a student athlete?
I think that they go right in hand, man. I never forget when I got to junior college, my junior college coach, he always had this saying of, you drop the book, you drop the ball.
Yeah.
And if your grades ain't right, you won't be eligible to play. And it sounded like, I used to look at him like, what? Like, what you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
But when you think about it, if I fail this class and fail this other class, I drop this book. Okay, so now the ball drops. You know what I mean? So it's super important. They go hand in hand, and what most people don't realize is most kids that do well in school, they typically do well on the court, and that doesn't go by playing wise. That goes to the IQ of the player. So for instance, being able to pick up this play the correct way, or being able to understand the play where you can help somebody else, or being able to watch another team and what they're trying to do to our defense. Like, it's those type of intangibles that a lot of people don't really think about, but they go hand in hand. And to me, the better student you are, the better athlete you can be. Now, you may not be the best player on the team, but that attribute you can translate to some of your other peers around you. And then that can elevate the team far as success is concerned. And so now when you think about, if you go to college and y'all leave, he may be the only one that goes and owns, or have his own his own company he's the CEO of, or work for a 500 Fortune 500 company. Once you retire, he can give you a job. You know what I mean? So that's why I always talk about relationships and things like that when it comes to college and stuff like that. So that's super important, man.
Talk about, what was your day-to-day schedule like in Fayetteville? What time did you get up? Did you have early morning practice, or was it more afternoon? Were your class in the morning, afternoon? What was your day-to-day schedule like?
So right now, what is it, September? So we would be doing 6 a.m.s. We would have 6 a.m. individual workouts. So I would get up at I would get up at 5:10. No, I would get up at 5:50. I get up at 5:50, brush my teeth, and get to the gym, all in 10 minutes, right? 6 a.m. workout, 6 to 7, take a shower, go back to the room, get breakfast. Then my class usually start around like 8:30. 8. So like Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, it was like 8:30 to 12:30ish, maybe 1 at the latest. My Tuesdays and Thursday class would be from 8:30 to like 12:30. I think I had 3 on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and only 2 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. After I get out of class, I would go to the cab, get some food, and then I would take a nap, because we had weights at 2:30. Weights was at like 2:30, 3 o'clock. I want to say 3. So we'll live from like 3 to 5, 3 to 4:30, and then right after that, we would go down to the gym and play pickup. Mm-hmm. That maybe lasted an hour, an hour and a half. And then depending on your GPA, you may have had study hall. Like, I had study hall my junior year, the first semester of my junior year, just because I was new. And then after that, my GPA was high enough where I didn't go back, and I wasn't trying to go back. Mm-hmm. So that was like a day-to-day thing, before the season started. And then during in season, the class kind of stayed the same, but you take 6 a.m.s out, and then your days where you lift kind of vary depending on what day game days was and things like that.
For anyone that hasn't been to Fayetteville, what's one thing that you always kind of enjoy to kind of get out the house and spend some time? Or what's a place you always kind of enjoy? That was your number one spot to go to. What's advice you would give somewhere to go to if they've never been to Fayetteville?
They never been. It depends on what they like.
I can agree
Let's
with
see.
that.
Let's see.
Because I would say Dixon Street, but you may not be a partier, so you might not really like that.
Yeah, like definitely, like that is the place to go. If you're going, people want to go out, have a good time, and walk. It's almost like if anybody's listening, if you've been to Austin, it's like I want to say they call it 6th Street in Austin, if I'm not mistaken, 2nd Street something. I'm not sure, so don't quote me. But that is where most of the bars and things like that is. They have a restaurant there called Doe's, which is pretty good. I will say this though, you cannot leave Fayetteville without going to Catfish Hole.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You cannot go to Fayetteville and not go to Catfish Hole. Like, oh my God. Put that number one on your list. Gotta go to Catfish Hole. And then, like I said, I like to eat. So a place that me and Ronnie ate all the time after games, like if we had an early game, something like that, we would go to Marketplace. We would go to Marketplace and eat. What else? What else can you do? I think you just ride around and just see the scenery, man. Like you got the scene when you first driving into Fayetteville and you can see the campus and all that, man. That's beautiful. Then I think they got some like lookout places up on hills in Fayetteville as well, where you can see out, you can look out and see the city. And then just drive through campus, walk through campus, get a good feel of the history there, and you can see all the names of the graduates on the sidewalks that's paved in and stuff like that. So it's a lot to do. I tell people, it's better when you're in school. But if it's just something you want to visit, go to Catfish Hole, go to Dixon Street after a game, and have a good time. Like, just have a good time.
And he says, walk through the campus. I want you to be prepared. We don't call it the Hill for no reason. Okay, it's called the Hill for a reason. Be prepared. We're
True. True. You gave a bit disclaimer. I wasn't gonna say anything.
It's not just called that. No, it's called that for a reason. So if you do visit the campus, be prepared for that. Talk about going through the motions. What was some of the hardest places you had to face as a player? In the SEC maybe, or even outside of conference. What were some of the toughest arenas you had to go to as a player?
Kentucky. I think Kentucky was one of the Kentucky, Tennessee, Florida. Those might be the main 3. Mississippi State was kind of tough at that time. They was still pretty good. I think that they had Charles Rose then. I can't remember if Lawrence Roberts might have been gone, but I think they had Charles Rose. Gary Urban was there at the time. Alabama stuff. So it would be Alabama, Mississippi State, Florida, Tennessee, Kentucky probably was the toughest ones. Yeah.
I talk about this so much. I know my listeners probably get sick of it, but I think no matter what field you're going in, film watching is one of the most important things. Even as an athlete, of course, but if you're becoming a sports journalist and something pursuing to be, you kind of watch others to see what they're doing on TV or what they're doing with their podcasts to kind of get a gain of interest, a gain of learning. How much time did you spend watching film? Whether it be in college or in the league, and also what did you kind of look for when you were watching film?
So I didn't really start taking to film until I became a pro, honestly, man. Like my junior college coach, he was real old school. So we didn't watch film. It was all about, he don't care what other teams do. He don't care what their players do. Like, he's only worried about what we doing.
Yeah.
So when I got to Arkansas, that was a little different because, we had the scout report. You had all the players on there, and coaches read about who you going, and DJ, you need to read about him, and him. I'm like, dang, I got 3 people to read about. You know what I mean? Yeah. Then you got the stats, what they do good. I'm like, man, oh my God. And then you taking this stride, and then obviously you go, you do the scout and all that stuff. So it's you scout it, but then it's different playing against that player. And then as I got older and I started watching film, it was more so about where can I get my shots, and then where can I get other guys their shots.
Yeah.
I feel like I play defense well enough that long as I keep you under your average, I'm doing my job. And so I would try to take away one thing from each player that I knew that I had to go up against, and then I would just focus on that. Like I didn't want to try to take away this and then try to take another thing that was on the scout report. Like, nah, let me just focus on one of these, and if I can focus on that, I can handle everything else that come my way. And so yeah, I started taking it more serious as I became a professional, and then kind of getting better at it. And then I seen how it worked, and so that's when it really became a lot more serious.
Talking to you, I've kind of become very intrigued. And you talk about your coaching, he's kind of an old school guy, and I asked this question because I just want to get a feeling of what you're like more into. It's this game today that we have. 3-point shooting league. The 130s, 135 game. Or are you more of an old school guy? You like.
I don't like it. I don't like it, man. It's entertaining, right?
Yeah.
But if I score 30 and I let you score 40, and I'm okay with that,
I agree
what I mean?
with
Like, you know what I mean? And that's what I see. Like a lot of I get my 30 and you get your 40, but I'm not you're not pissed off that he just dropped 40 on you. Like you cool because you got the 30. Like I don't like. I personally don't like that. Like I feel like you need to take pride in being able to stop somebody, and still be able to be effective at a high level at what you do. Now, would that happen every night? No. Like guys practice all the time. And, what I mean? Like it won't happen every night. But that's why I use the example of if I could just keep my guy under his average.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if he's averaging 25, all I gotta do is keep him under 24. You get what I'm saying? Like, and that's 24 is still a lot.
I got you.
Like that's still a lot of points. But if I can keep him under 24, I did my job. You get what I'm saying? And I think like that's what's missing, man. Like it's everybody is friendly. Everybody retweeting and sharing people things that they see at camp and stuff. I'm like, man, like, come on, man. So like, with me being assistant basketball coach, like that's what I try to instill in our players. Like, man, like it ain't cool to get 16 and somebody else get 20. Like that don't sit well with me, and it shouldn't sit well with you. Because when you leave this school building, and if you don't go to college and you go out there and try to get this job, their resume, like they're trying to get y'all competing for a job. You know what I mean? So it's either you or them trying to get this one job that 400 people applying for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it gotta be, the competitive spirit gotta be there somewhere. And you can take that same competitive spirit and apply it to the workforce. Okay, I need to do this. I need to work on this for my interview. I need to do this in my interview because I know some other people are gonna have more experience than I got. And then you give it your best effort, and let whatever happens.
I agree with you, man.
So I watch it, but I don't like
it. Hey, I gotta put that.
I watch it, but I don't like it.
I watch it, but I don't like. I gotta put that in somewhere because, and I keep saying I agree with you because I really do, and I don't play too much seriously anymore. But when I did, I pride defense, man. I really did. I didn't have a jump shot much. If I was on the scorer offense, I was driving the ball to the hole. But I pride, taking the ball out the lanes, cutting through passing lanes, getting rebounds. That was what I pride.
Right.
And it's just not fun to me. It's cool. You know, it's cool
Yeah,
to
man.
see. It's cool to see
Yeah.
somebody do a dope behind the back from half court, step back, and then hit a three with nothing but net. You know, it's cool. But as a player, I would think, that's not cool, I guess. But I don't know.
Right. Like, man, like I never get. I was home this summer, and I was in the gym with one of my former teammates. He was training some guy playing. I want to say he playing in the league right now. But there was another cat in there named Dorian Lee. If you want, you can look him up on Instagram, man. He's real good. He does player development back in Atlanta. And he came over to us. He was like, man, like, let me ask y'all something. He was like, man, we all kind of around the same age. He said, if you had the chance to score 50, all layups and dunks, or if you had 50, could get 50, all highlights and crossovers, said, which one would you choose? I said, oh, man, that's easy. Layups and dunks all day long. He said, every last one of these kids told me highlights. And it was like 7. It was like he was working out like 7 kids. He was like, man, it's a generation thing. I was like, yeah, man, because layups and dunks is so easy. Like, I don't have to do no work. He was like, man, he's like, they don't get it. Like, if I gotta hit a step, I gotta do a step back, crossover, behind the back spin to get 50. On each bucket, like, come on, like, no.
And I talk about this, and I tell my mothers all the time, like, I'm very fond of what I've gotten to watch. I always tell, if I have kids, and LeBron was great, but I always get this wish, tell my mom, and I wish I got to see Mike play. I wish I got to see Gary Payton, Charles Barkley. I wish I got to see the 90s play like live. Like, I see them, but it's not the same as it is watching live. It's totally different watching these guys play live. Right. And another thing, and I told one of my good friends, is I see so much disrespect on guys like Larry Bird, because they're like, oh, Larry Bird wouldn't fit in this system. Guys, first of all, I'm getting off traffic, but Larry Bird had a jump shot.
Right.
And I think another thing that you talk about social media as well, technology is giving these people that don't know anything about the game a platform to talk about it. And I think that annoys me more than the game itself, to be honest with you. Right. It's people that don't watch the game and just look at the box scores and think they know what they're talking about. Then they have all the power in the world on social media to talk about it and start stuff too. Right. So that's my take on it. I hate it, to be honest, as well too. I know we're getting off track, but I intrigued about the conversation because I don't get too many people my age that are like that. And so when I get to talk to someone much older than me, most of the times they're like, I'm old school. I don't like the 140, 135. It's cool, it's a new game. It is what it is, but it's just it's shoulderized. It's like, I guess, but
yeah, man.
So talk about the process for you getting into the league. I know it's a difficult journey for you again, but you also had that motivation in hindsight to get to the league. And, I think we say a lot of guys are trash if they're not in the league or in the G League, but I promise you, these guys in the G League are busting anybody that's, below them. So talk about how was that transition to get there for you, and also how difficult was it to maintain your job there, man?
Man, I'm gonna say this and then I'm going to it. It's hard to get to the league, and it's even harder to stay. It's harder to get there, and it's harder to stay, man. And like I said, I was doing my 5th year. During that summer, I didn't have an agent. Mm-hmm. I ended up having to have a scope done, and I think my assistant coach kind of reached out to me, asked me, was I trying to play basketball, and I was like yeah, I would like to. Connected me with a friend of his that was an agent, and then my thought process was get recovered from this surgery and go overseas. Like, I just want to go overseas. He was like, no. He said, Dontell, he's like, I know I haven't met him in person. He was like, Dontell, like, I know I ain't met you in person, but you're an NBA guard. And he was like, if you trust me, I'll get you there. And I was like, man, like, I just want to go make some money. Like, I don't care. And he put the belief in me that I was an NBA guard. I had never met this man in person or anything like that. And so while in doing my 5th year, school started in the fall, and I'm rehabbing my knee and I'm working out, and he gets me into the D League. I get drafted in, might have been like the 5th round, I think, something like that. And I go to North Dakota, speak to my professors, tell them what I was about to do, and I finished the semester basically online. And at the same time, it's December, and I'm playing basketball professionally. And so like that's how my journey like started professionally. And I just kept at it. The second year, I went to training camp with the Grizzlies. Went back to the D League, and then halfway through the D League season, I ended up going overseas. So now my name is getting bigger and things like that. Scouts are seeing me and stuff, and I ended up getting traded to the Utah Flash after training camp with the Clippers. And it just so happened I went out to Salt Lake City to train with Ronnie for a month prior to that. And I told him, I was like, man, I don't want to go to Atlanta. Like, I don't really know anybody hooping like that. And like, can I just come out there and just stay with you and, train with y'all like that? He was like, yeah, man, come on. So he allowed me that opportunity from, September to October. And then I went to the Clippers camp, and then I came back to Utah because I was going to go back to North Dakota, got traded. So now that I'm already in Utah, so I just had to take like a 45-minute drive down to Orem where the team was. And it was from that moment on, man, that I was being able to play the point guard position full time, because I kind of split time in North Dakota. And, it just kind of went from there, man. And I guess I just, I took advantage of the opportunity, man. So NBA was not even my thought process leaving college, man. Yeah.
What was your thought process then? What were you looking to go into if it wasn't the league?
Finish school, get my degree.
Mm-hmm.
Finish school, get my degree, possibly go overseas. And that's what I say, man. Like, it's it was one of those things where I was just kind of blessed with the right support system. And he actually, I had never met him, man. You know what I mean? So he wasn't a family member. My assistant coach wasn't a family member. This is some dude that, I had maybe a 10-minute conversation with, and, he instilled in me that and made me believe that, I belonged in the NBA. And I didn't have anything else going. So it was school. Okay, I can finish school. Okay, I can still go play. I can just do both. And then, I came back. I was going back to Arkansas every summer anyway to train with Ronnie and Vincent after he graduated. And so from that point on, man, I came back and I finished my degree in 2011. So, I did what it was supposed to do.
You talking about that, I think you jumping from place to place. Was there ever a time when you're in the transition of going from so many places with your career? Was there ever a time that you kind of just wanted to stop playing basketball because you couldn't find a settled home?
I almost retired in 2012 when I got cut. I was looking for a job. I had just had surgery. I had went through a real bad breakup. And it was like, man, I'm just gonna hang it up. I was literally gonna hang it up, and I could not find a job. Like I was trying to work at Foot Locker. Like I was trying to work at a Foot Locker with a bachelor's and no work experience, and they, sometimes you just overqualify for jobs. You know what I mean? So if you 27-ish, somewhere around there, and I'm trying to get a job at Foot Locker, but you got a 16-year-old kid, that's trying to get a job, like more than likely they're gonna hire that 16-year-old kid. And I mean, that's just life, how it goes. So man, I couldn't find a job, and so Vincent Hunter came home for playing overseas, and man, I got a job at FedEx, right? I finally got one. I broke down. It's like, man, I just go to FedEx, work at this warehouse to figure something else out. And Vincent Hunter was like, man, no. He was like, you need to come to Fayetteville and we can work out. And he was like, don't worry about it, just come. And that's what I did, man. And you know, I was able to, you know, at the same time, I rehab. I ended up getting a membership for my birthday to LA Fitness as a birthday gift. And I would go to LA Fitness. I would just work out. I rehab my knee. And then you know, I came back to Fayetteville, and you know, luckily the agent that I got at that time got me back into the D League. And I went out to Reno, played my first game, tore a ligament in my thumb. Yeah. Tore a ligament, so I was out another 2 months. And I ended up getting traded to Austin. And Austin was probably like, you know, one of the best experiences I've had, man. Like I appreciate it so much because of everything that I had went through the past, you know, 2 years and some change, to be in a situation where I can, you know, I felt wanted, appreciated. I was with guys that just wanted to play the game and see everybody do well. You know, that gave me a different belief. And, you know, I just kind of took it from there, and, you know, I kind of just ran with it.
You know, I want to get to this because I get to this and I'll come back to it, but you know, I hear this from other, you know, podcasts talking to players, man. When you got to the league, who was the first person to give you buckets? You know, who was the first person that made you question, like, should I really be doing this? Or was, you know, they were just giving you buckets possession after possession. Who was that guy?
So nobody, man. I will say I caught a good elbow from Ben Gordon one time. I think I went on a shot fake and
I can see that.
He waited. And then like as soon as I came down, he came up right in my face. Like I remember that. And then Vince Carter gave me a good challenge, man. And I say that because he didn't take it lightly. Like he treated me like I had been in the league. So it was either I'm trying to teach this rookie something, or he felt like I belonged and he really wanted to go at me. I don't know what it is, and I love to speak to him and talk to him if he remember that. But I vividly remember it. And I remember him turning the ankle. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm different. I gotta go at him. Yes, like he's hurt. And man, he kept putting me in the pick and roll, and the guy was in the pick and roll with, like, we just kept our coverages, like we wasn't aligned. And you know, at that time, like I was just being put in the game, like I wasn't really practicing that much with him. And we just could not get the pick and roll coverage right. And you know, every time he'll just hit the three, like he'll just pull up and hit the three out of pick and roll. Like, man, golly. And I remember Coach Brown drew up a play for me, an out of bounds play for me to attack him, right? Because he, you know, his ankles hurt, like he can't slide. And when I caught it off the side out of bounds, I took a jab middle, and then I went. I caught it and I ripped, and then I went left. I went up, instead of me running through my layup, I went off 2 feet. Mm-hmm. And I missed it. And I think that would have put us up 1. And I get to the sideline and coach going in on me. He's like, why you didn't drive right? I was like, man, he gave me left. And so, you know, we end up losing. And, you know, Vince comes to me and he told me I did a great job. And he was like, man, he's like, you continue to play like that. He's like, you're gonna be all right. So I think to me it was probably that moment, man. And then just to close this out, man, and this is how detailed, you know, NBA is. The coach drew up me a play to drive right. Vince Carter gave me left, but he drew it up for me to drive right because my strong hand was my right hand. And that's something you don't, like, when you be in the moment and when you're kind of new to it, you don't really think about it like that. But in actuality, like, if I would have jabbed left, I probably would have got by him and probably would have finished better with my right hand, even though I was a better finisher with my left. But by me going right, my drive probably would have been a whole lot stronger So it's details, man. It's details to it.
Talk about that, and now your position where you're a coach. How important is it as a player to be coachable, and not only coachable, how important is it to listen and respect what your coach says?
Man, it's super important, man. Like all that translates to the classroom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you can't listen to what the coach is saying and be coachable, being respectful to the coaches, what make you think we think that you're doing that in the classroom? You get what I'm saying? Like if you're not getting into trouble in the classroom, they probably just ain't writing you up for it. You get what I'm saying? Or you just not getting caught. So if we can't coach you on the court, then you can't play. That means if I draw up a play and you in La La Land, you got 4 people running right and you somewhere else, like it's a liability. And so all those things, being memorable, respectful, being coachable, being able to take constructive criticism without getting in your feelings and things like that. Like all that plays a part in it.
I get closer to wrapping things up. I want you to talk about, just give a piece of advice. And this could go off your book as well, again, which I will leave a link to. Why is it okay to not go straight to the league? Because I think we're so recognized with, if you're not going straight from college to the league, it's a failure. Why is it okay, again, to take different routes? And because everyone's journey is the same, why is it okay to do that?
Man, because in reality, percentage is less than point. I want to say less than 1% of high school student athletes that make it to the NBA, and we're not including overseas players. So what is there? Like there has to be something else. We got 50 states in America, and then the influx of the foreign basketball players. So there has to be something else that you can potentially do to be able to reach, quote unquote, what I like to say, your NBA in life. And the NBA doesn't have to be your NBA in life. Like that can be, like you're hosting your own podcast. You got doctors, you got lawyers. Your NBA can be to work for an NBA team. You may be a player where you, I didn't make it to the league, but I can work in, the facilities part, or I can be a support staff role where, I handle marketing and things like that. So you're not playing in the NBA, but you're working for an NBA organization. You're working for a doctor's organization, or you work for a dentist organization. What's some good companies? Walmart. Things like that. Like those things can be your NBA. And it's strictly up to you. Like the outside pressure of, friends and family and all them wanting you to get there. Yeah, it's cool if you make it. But I think there has to be some type of reassurance from that quote unquote support system that tells you, like, man, it's all right. Like you didn't let the family down. Like you didn't let yourself down. Everybody is not going to achieve all their dreams, and that's okay. Like it's plenty of businesses that I've tried within the past 4 or 5 years that failed. Well, what do you do? Like you learn from those mistakes, and you apply whatever mistakes you made to something else, and you keep moving forward. You fall down and you get up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And keep going. Tough skin, keep moving forward. You can always look back. That don't mean you got to stay there. Yeah.
All right, and I want to ask you this because I haven't got to, and I really wanted to. Man, what's coaching been like for you? And also, was it something that you initially wanted to do, or is this just the opportunity brought you and you kind of just jumped on it? And how have you been loving it so far?
Yeah. So I think the opportunity presented itself. And it was another way of me to give back. And pass on my knowledge that I've gained over my career. Like I said, like I've had my second annual basketball camp here at Abundant Life Christian Academy. So just being able to pass on my knowledge, man. I felt like I would always be good at coaching. You know, if I got into it, it wasn't what I initially wanted to do when I first retired. But you know, now that I'm in it, like I do enjoy it. Um, so yeah, you know, it's you know it's a good opportunity way for me to you know directly affect you know student athletes and like I said, pass on the knowledge and hopefully they can take what I give them and apply it to you know life outside of basketball.
Every episode, I like to get a feel because one of the biggest things for me as well is legacy. Once you're gone, what's the legacy you want to leave behind, man? 200 years from now, someone searches up Dontell Jefferson. What do you want them to remember about you? What do you want to be remembered for? What's the legacy you want to leave behind, man?
Man, I just hope that you know I'm that I'm respected and you know people can say that you know he gave his all. He was a great person and willing to you know do whatever he could for anybody. Um, and I was loved.
100%, 100%, and we appreciate you for spending a little over an hour with me. It means a lot. And so you continue doing what you're doing. Any shout outs you want to give to anybody?
Um, shout out to East End family. Shout out to University of Arkansas, the whole university men's basketball program. Um, you guys for tuning in. Appreciate you for watching. Mom, my daughter. That's it, man.
Also, if you're willing and available to put out any social medias that you have, in case the listeners have any other questions that I didn't get to.
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at Dontell Jefferson. That's all one word. I'm on Facebook as well as Dontell Jefferson. I'm also on LinkedIn as Dontell Jefferson. So if you guys got businesses and things like that, we can connect on LinkedIn as well.
And I want to shout out you again, man. I appreciate you. I really do, because we're doing this at like nighttime, like people. It's like 9 o'clock. So we love you guys, and I appreciate you again, Coach, for helping me out with this journey. And I appreciate the listeners for tuning in, man. It's been a long journey. Season 2 almost done, almost halfway. We're more than halfway done. Got 6 more episodes, and we'll be done with season 2. That's great, and that's all love, and that's all glory to God. We appreciate you again for tuning in. Stay safe, everybody. Continue working hard. God bless. Thank y'all.